world champion in 4 weight classes, the first and only undisputed middleweight champion. Pound for pound, the best boxer in the world. There's only one boxer alive who can claim these achievements.
Introducing Saul Canelo Alvarez.
The Mexican-born champ is one of the most prolific boxers in the history of the sport. With a staggering 63 fights behind him, Canelo has earned his place as a superstar. Not through advertising his pretty face, but by fighting tooth and nail. Join us as we look into the life and career of Canelo Alvarez. Hailing from Juanacatlan, Jalisco, Canelo was born Santos Saul Alvarez Barragan. Growing up as the youngest of 8 children, Alvarez learned to be tough early, lest he become prey for all of the bigger boys around him. His nickname Canelo means cinnamon, a reference to his red hair, which comes from his mother. Despite initially being bullied for his hair color, jicama con chile, they would call him, the Canelo nickname would stick and become the name everyone would know him by. When all of his brothers became professional boxers, Canelo followed suit. Little did anyone know that the youngest brother would become the most successful. Alvarez started boxing when he was around 13 years old, after watching his older brother Rigoberto debut as a professional boxer. At the age of 15, he became the 2005 Junior Mexican National Boxing Champion. The same year, Canelo would turn pro. Alvarez's career spans over 15 years, so instead of looking at every notch under his belt, we'll be looking at the most important fights of his life. It's hard to talk about the career of Canelo Alvarez without talking about one of his losses. The young and ambitious light middleweight decided to take on one of the greats, Floyd Mayweather Jr.
He possibly can, and Mayweather drops him again!
The two clashed early in Canelo's career, though he wasn't some greenhorn thrown to the wolves. Canelo had already won belts and was marked as the top light middleweight, but he was fighting against the pound-for-pound best boxer in the world, a super champion who had been presented as an invincible fighter. With both of their light middleweight belts on the line, all eyes were on Canelo to take it home and beat the unbeatable. The two met in Las Vegas in 2013, where the crowd was fully behind the Mexican underdog. When the bell rang, Canelo was like a coiled spring. He rushed at Mayweather to set the pace. But unfortunately for him, Mayweather is just too good. For 12 rounds straight, Canelo bounced off the rock-solid defense that Mayweather had become famous for. Floyd took Canelo's biggest strength away with his speed and agility. By the end of the fight, no one watching could deny Mayweather's victory. Of course, that wouldn't be the last that we see of Alvarez, or of Mayweather for that matter. While he did lose his big zero, Canelo continued on. In 2015, he would get his chance at getting his belts back when he took on reigning super champ Miguel Cotto. November 2015, Canelo had been on a tear, winning convincingly despite moving up in weight. He began to develop even further into a dangerous counterpuncher who mixed aggression and accuracy to win big. And now he was facing Puerto Rican veteran Miguel Cotto, a 4-division champion and an experienced striker. Despite his age, Cotto was fast and came into the fight intending to outbox the younger and larger opponent. Canelo wasn't having it. Canelo's power and precision proved to be the deciding factor. Cotto threw more punches, but Alvarez made them count. When the scorecards came back, the judges knew who was the victor. Alvarez took home the WBC, ring, and lineal middleweight titles by unanimous decision. A year later, Canelo found himself defending those titles against the British star Amir Khan. Khan was not a middleweight. Khan jumped up 2 weight classes to face Canelo, proving himself as a fast, flashy fighter.
And that's one of his best punches. Hit low, he's not gonna make it up.
Khan was looking to steal away some of Canelo's star power for himself, aiming to take Canelo's belts and giving him a loss in return. When the two met, Khan's speed and boxing skills helped him to lead early on. While he lacked the power that was standard for the weight class, he more than made up for it with his movement. That was the plan. And then it didn't matter. Sometimes, power is what you need. No count needed. With Khan on the canvas, Canelo proved that he could take the belts, and that he could hold on to them. Right after his fight, Canelo answered boxing fans' dreams by asking his future rival to get in the ring.
Am I to understand that the deal is done, that there will be a fight between you two in September of this year?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Golovkin was undefeated, a powerful and aggressive fighter that was both the unstoppable force and the immovable object. Triple G mastered timing, putting punches exactly where they needed to be when they needed to be there. When it was the opponent's time to shine, Golovkin's chin could not be broken, eating the hardest hits and coming back for more. With a streak of 23 knockouts that spanned from 2008 to 2017, Golovkin was one of the best fighters in the division at the time. Fight fans were chomping at the bit to see the two square off. In front of a sold-out crowd at the T-Mobile Arena in Nevada, Canelo Alvarez met Gennady Golovkin for a high-intensity match where both fighters gave it their all. In the early rounds, Canelo set the pace, using his quick movement and counter-punching to wear down Golovkin's defense. However, Golovkin immediately pushed Canelo's limits. His incredible power punching established himself as a dangerous threat. Canelo was able to stay competitive, but it became clear to everyone that Golovkin would not be put down. Canelo's speed let him dodge Golovkin's more dangerous shots, but then Canelo began to slow down. Golovkin was undeterred by Canelo's shots, but Alvarez could not say the same. Fatigue was wearing on him, and Golovkin started to take the rounds more and more. With a final score of 114 to 114, 113 to 115, and 118 to 110, the fight was a draw, with one judge scoring for Golovkin, one for Canelo, and another tied. No winner could be called. The ending was not without controversy. The 118 to 110 scorecard was an outrageous figure, bringing claims of bias or just outright cheating in favor of Alvarez. With how close the fight was, no one could reasonably claim that Canelo won with such a wide margin.
For Canelo Alvarez, that scorecard submitted by Adelaide Bird is one of the biggest embarrassments that I've seen. It's difficult to fathom.
The two met again in Las Vegas for another standout bout. Anybody who watched the first fight could immediately see a different Canelo. Alvarez took on the role of the aggressor, staggering Golovkin and trying to make good on his promise to knock his opponent out. Having trouble keeping up with the aggression of Canelo, Golovkin took on a more passive role, not being able to keep up with the flurry of head and body blows coming his way. As much of a battering as he took, Golovkin still stood tall. Canelo had not taken him down yet. Both men gave it everything they had. Again, they both stood tall at the end, taking the fight to the judges.
That means it was an effective robbery. Yeah, it was an effective robbery. It's still a robbery.
With another controversial ending and another close ending, fans wanted a trilogy to really settle the score. But for years, we never got it. It seemed like Canelo, or maybe more accurately his management, weren't interested. The third fight went the distance yet again, but this time Canelo was in control the whole time. With an explosive display, Canelo managed to shut down Golovkin's stellar offense, resulting in him being more conservative in his punches. With another decision, Canelo finally put a cap on his most bitter rivalry, winning a unanimous decision and ending all debate over who was the better man. Some of Canelo's best fights have been against the same size or smaller guys, but Canelo proved that he could hang with the heavier guys too, when he went to the light heavyweight to face Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev is all about power.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone. It was the left hand that did.
Despite the power difference, Kovalev came into the fight working off his jab while Canelo was aiming for heavier shots. Both fighters seemed to be working a bit differently than expected. No doubt that Kovalev was aiming to prove he could outbox smaller fighters, while Canelo wanted the world to know that he could bring down the big men. The fight was pretty even up until late rounds, with Canelo having a slight lead that could easily be overtaken with 1 or 2 bad rounds. One mistake could have ended the fight, and one mistake did. After Kovalev, Canelo returned to super middleweight, aiming to make himself a 4-division champion. Standing in his way was Callum Smith. An undefeated champion with 2 defenses under his belt, Smith looked strong in his fights. So when Canelo was coming back down to face him, fans weren't sure whether or not that might be a good idea. Smith had a large height and reach advantage against Canelo, but the allure of the WBA, Ring Magazine, and WBC championships, as well as the allure of making history as the first undisputed super middleweight in San Antonio's Alamo Dome, the fight was on. Smith was 27-0, but you wouldn't know it based on how badly Canelo controlled him. Much like his own match against Mayweather, Alvarez completely controlled the fight, using pressure and sharp shots to cut Callum down to size. By the time it came to the judges, there was no question who was the undisputed super middleweight. An indisputable victory, which kickstarted an incredible indisputable champion run that Canelo continues to this day. That's it for this breakdown of Canelo Alvarez's career. Let us know if you'd like a part 2. As always, make sure to subscribe for more combat sports and MMA content. We'll see you next time.